All right. We're finally going live. Trying to get this right. Greetings, everyone. We're finally going live. Welcome to Dorsey's Resource. Trying to get this camera right, the lighting and everything. Thank you, guys. The topic of this video is going to be where can I find people who teach or share status correction, redemption information. By the way, once again, the topic of this video is going to be where can I find people who teach or share status correction, redemption information. But as usual, before we get started, I'd like to give a disclaimer. This video is going to be for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. Please understand everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person to please do his or her own homework and research regarding the matter being discussed. This information is not to be construed as legal advice. In the event you feel you need to seek a competent professional, it is encouraged that you do so at one's own leisure. Dorsey's Resource Channel is not liable or responsible for anyone's misuse of the information. Everyone is responsible for their own commercial affairs. All rights are reserved. Now, to get into the topic, this is related to a previous video that I've done recently. By the way, big shout out to all the subscribers, all my subscribers out there who continue to follow my work, that continue to follow my channel. You are appreciated. I do hear from you from time to time through the emails, through the different responses from my social media. Sometimes I'm not always able to respond immediately. I have, a plethora, multiple social media platforms out there. And recently, the private consultations have been going well. Big shout out to you guys. You want information in regards to that, should be listed in the description box. Specifically, I will email you the instructions once you contact me specifically. Some people get it done just like that because it's pretty much self-explanatory. By the way, it's in the links in the description. So without further ado, to get into this topic, who teaches status correction? By the way, I went over, I'm going to name, there's a lot of different channels on YouTube. I'm not getting paid by these people. I'm just sharing I myself as a researcher, someone who studied in this movement going back to 2004. By the way, I still from time to time have to get updated information, to further my education, to further my knowledge for the plateau, the levels that I'm trying to get to. So in trying to empower you guys, I've gotten questions from people. Sometimes I understand there's people that say they don't have the money, Dorsey, where people ask, where should I start from? Those that are trying to learn this information. And I'm going to try to help answer that question. That's why, as the channel name, Dorsey's Resource, I'm going to try to be a resource to help you find the correct information. But however, it's up to every individual person. This is why I put in a disclaimer to make his or her own assessment and evaluation. By the way, I can't make that for you. At the end of the day, you have to decide which pathway may be best for you. Now, I can give you encouragement. Sometimes people go a step further, contact me privately. If you want to know what I know, certain things that I refrain from or hold back from going into details about, if you want to contact me privately to learn more information about what I know or what documents, templates I have with private webinars, I was willing to barter with people in the past. I've mentioned that as well. And I have some ideas that can help people along this journey that are trying to find out where should they start, what type of, where can one find this type of knowledge. So to get into this, I'm going to name a few names that I didn't go over in the previous video. And some of the people, the content creators that do share this type of information, redemption might not be, or sovereignty might not be the only topic they talk about. They might get into politics or other topics based on their demographics or genre that they appeal to. Everybody has different personalities, different genres, by the way. Keep that in mind. I studied psychology. I took it in college twice independently. I also took sociology. I studied dating psychology independently on my own before I started studying sovereignty back in 2004, actually. And I still, that's like was like a hobby for me back then. So I understand you have different content creators might appeal to different people's personalities, different types of attributes, characteristics. So the names I'm going to go over, there's one name, there's a channel called Messiah Corporation, who oftentimes I would see sometimes in Yusaville when he would go live. By the way, I don't know if they took his channel down. By the way, I think he's, if he's back up, his channel was called High Frequency Radio. By the way, you can look him up, Yusaville. He talked about a lot of things related to Secure Party. Now, let me explain. There's some people that say Secure Party doesn't work, or what is it, by the way? And these are some things I've talked about in the past, haven't really gone into details about. Now, I will say this. I will recommend, because they've the powers that be and gatekeepers and underlinks have made things throughout the years, tried to make things more difficult for people intentionally to learn this information. It would behoove you, I would advise, in my personal opinion, to try to establish a legal background, learn basic legal information. Locally where I'm at, they actually had information on the news one time that people could take at one time. I don't know if this is still the case. They could sit in on free law classes down at Wayne State University in the city that I'm in. I don't know if they still offer that, or if that's still available, because there was this talk that people who share or teach this type of information are pseudo lawyers, because there's a lot of urban legends, rumors, and myths surrounding this information that is inaccurate. That I don't know where people get some of these urban legends. I discussed with a good friend of mine. I think these are things that people make up, or opinions they formulated. But from someone who's actually studying the movement, you're hearing from a reliable source that I can evaluate, just sharing my experience with you, what I consider legitimate and what's not, by the way, or what's they call pseudoscience, by the way, versus, you know, people giving their opinions. Secure party is a term that is used in a uniform commercial code. The reason people add creditor at the end is because that is what you're attempting to correct, and status correction. Let me say it again. If you look up, which I went over, I did a series recently, Business and Law, which a lot of those subjects are related to sovereignty. By the way, I don't use the term sovereign citizen. That's an umbrella term that's made up to discredit people trying to look up information in this particular genre or subculture or movement. By the way, people give stuff different names. So I'm not going to get into semantics and play word games and stuff like that. It is for what it is. That's why I say I give a disclaimer. People can make their own assessment, evaluation, but I'm going to give you guys a look into this, similar to Mythbusters, by the way, because I studied in this movement, and I don't use those crackpot terms or pseudo terminology that's been made up, or umbrella terms to try to discredit people from trying to learn this type of information. And there's different categories, by the way. There's different processes, there's different procedures. Not everybody teaches the same type of methodology or methods, by the way. So a lot of people don't get that. This is common knowledge. You will understand there's different people who have different processes. By the way, from the first channel that I mentioned, I went over Messiah Corporation, Yusaville, just throwing some names out there. These are channels you can look up, by the way, to get a basics if you're new to this, if you're on the fence about this. I'm going to go over some more names, but once again, if you look up in the Uniform Commercial Code, or UCC, secure party is a term that is used in the Uniform Commercial Code. It says right on some of the forms, who is the secured party. So when you have secured party creditor, that means what that's referring to more specifically is that the system in general, those who are aware of the N lingus, the estate, is these major corporations have been set up where they're stepping in place as the lender and calling you the borrower, because they're using your N lingus. They're tapping into that and making you the debtor and not the creditor, by the way. So that's why people just keep it simple. People add creditor at the end. And to go over, there's different processes to break this down to a mundane level, to keep it simplistic, by the way. So you have YouTube channels that teach this information or have shared information related to becoming an American national, non-citizen national, status correction, private citizen, private person. Some people use that term. You have Jonah Bey, by the way. He gives free consultation on Wednesdays, by the way. He has a channel called Jonah Bey. He also has a website, johnahbey.com. He's on Hindsight Radio. You also have Akeem L, by the way. Akeem L. A is in Apple, K is in Kite, E is in Emergency, I is in Icarus, M is in Matt, Akeem, and then this hyphen, dash EL. You have Yusuf L. His channel is called High Frequency Radio. If he's back on YouTube, High Frequency Radio, Yusuf L. You can also look up, I think he has a website, Secure Party Creditor University. By the way, I'm just saying, going over basic information. If you're new to this, there's a lot of free information out there. There's a YouTube channel called Radiant Clone, by the way. You want to look up Radiant Clone. They have a lot of free information, free audios, a lot of Patrick Devine videos, but they have earlier videos where there was people you can actually see that had Zoom meetings, Zoom discussions to discuss. And I believe I met the guy who's related to that channel some years ago. He's under the name Ross Boss. I was introduced some years back when I was part of the TDA movement. By the way, when people were attempting to access the so-called secret accounts, I've done a lot of videos on that in the past. I might do an updated video maybe down the road again, even though there was a lot of reversals. But I've got evidence, by the way, that they are using your all caps name. Some call, if you call the straw man, remember in the court system, they use legalese. And this has been done on purpose to keep the average man or average person, average man or woman from not understanding the court procedures. When you ever have to go to court or you're faced with litigation, is to keep the everyday average person. So you're forced to have to hire a third party, which is in the term of an attorney or lawyer. It's like, say, if, like, for example, if you know how to work on a car yourself, you could buy the part or you could order the part from AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Murray's, auto supply store, instead of going to a shop. Let's say if you know how to work on engines, by the way, or alternators or transmissions, instead of taking it to a shop, you can cut out the third party. Similar, you can cut out the lawyer. You don't have to have a lawyer. In some states, it's not required to have a license to practice the law, believe it or not. I still give a disclaimer. By the way, that's a whole nother discussion within itself. But you have to look up even the laws for your state, because a lot of this information pertains to the legal system. And that's why I went over that series that I did not too long ago. You guys remember where I showed the books, Business and Law. If you've been following my channel for a while, the redemption manuals, how this information is related. A lot of people who go into the law to become lawyers, paralegals, the legal system, where they get issued a P number. That is like a version of their social security number for the P license, just like people have a concealed carry license number specifically for that. In some states, they've combined that, merged it with the driver's license. By the way, those are forms of contracts too, by the way. Not trying to go too deep, but I'm going over the reason I'm going over this information is because people have asked me and have commented on previous videos, where can I find information, or why do you charge, Dorsey? The reason I charge is for my time, because I am knowledgeable. I am at a certain level in this. I'm definitely not a beginner. Like I said, it's the reason I've explained this in the past, by the way, and people have thanked me in the past for providing insight, for being very helpful. That's why I was invited several years ago, or over. That was back in 2017, the summer of 2017. So that movement where people were having, I didn't even know about the Discord app. You guys know about that app called Discord. It's like a gaming app, but they would have private discussions on there, different groups. They call servers on there. So I was invited because they saw the video that I did back then on the Black Card, my experience from that event that I attended. So they wanted my insight. That's why I was sought out, by the way, to give you guys a background in case those of you are not familiar. So I'm going over other content creators to show you. I'm not trying to get all the limelight, to show you there are other people out here who are knowledgeable of this information, who are aware of this information. This type of information is not gobbledygook. This is not a conspiracy theory. Remember, theory is something that's theoretical. It hasn't been proven. There is factual information that is legitimate. I talk about the legitimate information. I don't talk about scams. Sometimes I'll tell you things to possibly watch out for, by the way. But a lot of scams have even come from the public sector or the statutory side of the system, such as, remember the data breaches that Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian had, where people's social security numbers got leaked out. You guys remember that? That was on the public side, the statutory system, because you have some gatekeepers out there who try to point the finger, say, see, it's sovereign citizens. It's the SCs that are causing all the trouble out here. It's those sovereign citizens. But they won't talk about the regular statutory system, the public sector within itself that has caused harm to innocent people just operating who have no clue about this. Also, remember Wells Fargo Bank got in trouble for, remember that, where the employees had opened up accounts with people's social security numbers without their awareness, without their knowledge. Remember how years back you had data breaches from Best Buy, Target. Remember that? Now think about this for a minute. Just think about it. Think about this for a minute. Brainstorm. Who has the money to hire hackers or to hacking? Because you have to have obviously doesn't take rocket science, but you have to be smart, intelligent to get into these computer systems, to go on these major corporations. So you got to think about who has the money and time and resources to be able to do that. Think about that. And you have all these major corporations all of a sudden having these data breaches. You got to think, is this by coincidence? Is this happening by chance? You see, but why doesn't the gatekeepers out there, or the people that talk about scammers and stuff, why don't they address that? Why are they always pointing the finger at the Moors or sovereign citizens or whatever, which is an umbrella term that's used to discredit people from studying or learning this type of information, because they don't want the left hand to know what the right hand is doing, or they don't understand themselves. But you're hearing from somebody who's actually studied, and I'm going over the legitimate stuff from my experience, by the way. It's just something to think about. I see in the chat section, Mary Saunders says, "Shalom, Mr. Dorsey." Shalom, greetings to you, Mary. She says, "Yes, I remember." Thank you for that confirmation. So once again, to stay on topic, the topic of this video is, where can I find people who teach, share status correction, redemption information on YouTube, etc.? And I'm going over, this is related to a previous video. So far, I went over Messiah Corporation. There's a guy I've been contacted by, I don't know how, sends me emails from time to time, named Brad Tipton. I think he has a YouTube channel. If you type in Brad Tipton, his last name spelled T as in Tom, I as in Icarus, P as in Paul, T as in Tina, O as in Operation, N as in Nancy. Brad Tipton. I think that may be the name of his YouTube channel. By the way, there are other people who do data processing, by the way, which I don't do, but I'm more so like a coach. I do private coaching, private consultation, because it is private, where it's similar to like a football coach, a basketball coach, or general manager of a team. I can make moves. I can coach you on different processes, or because I have a trained eye from many years ago, by the way, and I can give my feedback, but I'm just going over other people out here to let you guys know there's free information for newbies, basic information. If you're on the fence about this, say before you even want to give anybody any money, and you just want to learn, what is this? What is status correction? What is sovereignty? Is diplomatic immunity real? Is the do not detain list, is it real? Yeah, I understand. I get it. That's why I'm here. I got you covered. That's why I'm going over this. So you have also, I went over Radiant Clone, Jonah Bay, Akeem El. They all have YouTube channels. Yusuf El at High Frequency Radio. Tex Mason has excellent work. By the way, I want to say Jonah Bey. He even gives free consultation on Wednesdays. You can hear people call in. He just recently completed a webinar, for what I heard. I studied his material some years ago. By the way, I'm studying something different now. So this is kind of what I do as a researcher. I research different things, and I'm still along the pathway, along the journey with getting paperwork done myself. By the way, you also have Akeem El. I think, in my opinion, puts out excellent work. I think he learned from Jonah Bey. By the way, when he came out, they were working together. They now have parted ways, but I respect their work. I think, in my opinion, I would say those brothers are more advanced than myself, in my opinion. By the way, I commend their work. They both have YouTube channels, by the way, and they both require donations. They also do private consultations as well, by the way. But if you're not at a certain level in this, too, I would say you may not understand what they're going over, by the way. So just keep that in mind. This is why I'm going over a plethora of content creators, names out there to cover this type of information. So I went over Radiant Clone, that has a lot of free information on their YouTube channel. Tex Mason. You have James C. Lovett. That's James C. Lovett. He has a YouTube channel, does like a vlog like mine. He talks about the national passport process, different things about dealing with status correction, information related to this. You have a YouTube channel called His Advocates. That's Kelby Smith over there, called His Advocates. Commend the work he's doing. By the way, sometimes these other channels might talk about other topics, but I think they're important. You have also Enlightened Luciferian Prince. By the way, Enlightened Luciferian, that's the name of his channel. By the way, Enlightened Luciferian Prince. If you type that in, it should pull it up. By the way, sometimes I'm just giving you guys a disclaimer. These channels might talk about other topics, but you can find the videos if you go to their channel that may be related to the free information that they give about redemption stuff. Now, some of the good information that you want to know about are the really tough questions. With some of these channels similar to my channel, you might have to set up a private consultation to learn more, because YouTube is very public. I am aware of that, by the way. But I'm just showing that there's other people. I'm not the only one. To add to the legitimacy, the credibility of this information, that there is a legitimate side. And this links all the way up to the private sector, the ruling class elite. By the way, if some call the Illuminati, that's an umbrella term. But the ruling class, it's a caste system, the elites. This information, by the way, to go over, I already went over. Not all of these channels focus solely on status correction. Some get into politics or other topics based on the genre or demographics they appeal to. By the way, everyone has to make their own assessment and evaluation of what they consider legitimate. And this information is unconventional, by the way, and it's only taught to an exclusive class of private people. That's why there's only certain people that learn this information. Let me say that again. You study Pastor Lindsey Williams, who was a whistleblower many years ago. He lived with the elites of the world. Many of you all know the story already behind him. You can still find some of his videos on YouTube that you can watch for free. By the way, Pastor Lindsey Williams, he did a video documentary called Secrets of the Elite. I highly recommend watching it. It's called Secrets of the Elite. And some of the information he explained on there was that the elites are taught by their parents. They're sent to private schools by invitation only. It's exclusive, by invitation only. That's how certain people are privy to this, and others in the general public are not taught this information. You may have some of the smartest people in the general public that have master's degrees, PhDs, doctors of divinity, very astute people from all different walks of life that may say, why haven't I never heard of this information before? How is this so? Because, see, the elites only wanted you to know what they wanted you to be taught. And that was set up, if you learned in the early 1900s, the Rockefellers had something to do with that, with dumbing down the textbooks and the educational system, the mathematics and other things. There's documentaries, by the way, if you connect the dots, that went over this information. Because see, I connect the dots. I'm equipping you guys with the skill sets to research and study how I've connected the pieces. I have a good memory. Some people have a better memory than myself, but I'm equipping you guys with the skills and explaining the skills that I've used throughout the years to connect the pieces, to formulate a picture that makes sense. But you have to make your own assessment. You have to brainstorm, evaluate. Others that teach this information, I went over Tex Mason, James C. Lovett. You have Don Kalam. By the way, Don Kalam has a YouTube channel, D-O-N, K as in kite, I as in Icarus, L as in Larry, A as in Apple, M as in Matt. Don Kalam. It's the name of his YouTube channel. He teaches this. I like some of the videos he's done, the work he puts out. Don Kalam, just like James C. Lovett. You have Team Aware, by the way. Excuse me, Team Aware. It's the name of their YouTube. Type in Team Aware, Redeeming Lawful Money. You may pull up their channel. Team Aware. I'm dropping some jewels, some powerful stuff. I can go into detail. There's some things I know about because I've been studying this since 04. Now, some of you guys might wonder, well, Dorsey, why are you not rich yet? Why are you still on punching the 9 to 5 clock? I can answer that question. Of course, by what I previously explained. Keep in mind, this information is exclusive. I had to go through some things. Remember some of the videos I put out previously. I wasn't making that stuff up. And these people have put some obstacles and things in place. That has not stopped me. But these people that were born into this information, that they were exclusively taught by their parents, through their bloodline or lineage, or sent to private schools, this was basically given to them on a silver platter. Everyone is not afforded that opportunity. I learned this information with my own cognizance many years ago. No one put me up to this. From my own research, I went to through word of mouth, private meetings in the city of Detroit many years ago. I was one of the younger people. There was a lot of older people in this city or this genre at the time. And it's similar in other states, places, but they nicknamed me at the time Research John. This was many years ago. By the way, well over 10 years ago, when I started learning, going to private classes, private meetings to learn this information. And at the same time, I was hit with a lot. I learned about my real history as well, about my people, melanated people specifically. So I learned two different genres. I was woken up red pill at the same time. I was a blue pill many years ago. I was blue pill. I was brainwashed in the system, meaning I was taught to go along. I studied in the public food system that keeps you stupefied, dumbified, miseducated. And so I woke up when I learned back around 03. I heard through word of mouth through a friend of mine about these classes. And I did further research, further investigation, and I was hungry. At the time, I was still blue pill. From that moment on, I became red pill, and I was already intelligent. You know, I had, you know, I've gone in a little bit of my background years prior. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. Before my dad moved us to Detroit many years ago in the mid 80s. By the way, I have spent most of my life in Detroit. So I claim 216 and 313, main area codes for both these. But I went to a private Christian school after I attended a public school. And even when I attended the public school, some of my classmates had to be put in special learning classes. Well, I was a bright student at the time. I had transferred, my parents moved after they had moved from Cleveland a couple years after. Lived in different neighborhoods in the city of Detroit. By the way, I was actually in some accelerated math classes in elementary school. And I used to help tutor a classmate when I was like in 2nd or 3rd grade. I had already, you know, knew about timetables back then and stuff. Like I was asking about it when when it was not even in the curriculum yet during that particular time period. To show you, I have an astute background. I'm an academic. I was a perfect straight A student in 8th grade. I think that's magna cum laude. My 7th grade year, my teacher at the time, Mr. Height, the last month of the year, he surprised me. This is when the school first started an awards banquet to honor students that had made honor roll, other things, even with athletics. By the way, Mr. Height had surprised me. I was student of the month, the last month before the year ended for my 7th grade year. This was before I went into my eighth grade under Mr. Milioni at the time. Many years ago, I was perfect straight A. I had the highest scores. We had another student, my classmate Naomi Grant at the time. Me and her were the top students in the class. But the teacher at the time had a percentage scale that went over 100%. And he had a grading scale where you could see he would post it on the wall when you were walking the classroom, and he would give extra credit. So he would add the percentage points. So my scores in every subject that he taught was over 100. So I had the highest scores through the whole entire year. I was the top student. But going into, I spent my last year there, my 9th grade year. I started, my mother at the time got assistance from my aunt with paying the tuition at the time, by the way, which kudos to them. It's a private school, by the way, before I got put back into public school at the time, because tuition was expensive, you know, at the time. By the way, just going into a little bit of my background, by the way, to show you I'm an academic. I did okay in high school. I was overall 3.0. But when I left Evangel my 9th grade year, I pretty much had all A's and B's. I transferred to Cooley High School, by the way. I could have finished higher. I graduated at 28th. I was number 28th in the class, by the way. We had one of the smallest classes, they said, that had graduated since like the school had opened at the time. My economics teacher, Mr. Jenkins at the time, had mentioned for our particular year, class of 97. By the way, before I started college at DeVry Institute of Technology in Columbus, Ohio, then I transferred to Detroit College of Business, which was purchased by Davenport University, I think based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. By the way, they bought up a lot of the mom and pop schools. And within my major, before I graduated, within my major, I had over 3 GPA, 3.5 or whatever. I had even made the dean's list. I had taken 3 classes one semester. I had 2 A's and a B. I was considered full-time, semi-full-time. That was the first time I had made dean's list. I worked at the school. I got an award for receiving perfect attendance and never being late. 2 $50 Walmart gift certificates, which my friend of mine's grandmother worked at the school in the same department I was in, named Viessa Wells. And she was, you know, pretty kind of salty at the time. But they loved the outstanding work that I did, the professionalism that I had. I worked in the Student Development Center, which was combined onto the enrollment office as a work-study assistant, college work-study, similar to being an administrative assistant. So I worked some other jobs. I won't go into all of that. But the reason I'm going over this information is to give you guys a background. I am an academic. I am astute. I do my research. I'm college educated. I do have a background, even though I finished with only my associate's degree. I did take credits towards my bachelor's. However, I learned more information with this sovereign movement, or some call sovereignty. I call it redemption education. It taught me how to apply my college classes to the real life, real world. I learned about the private sector. I learned about the elites, which I'm giving information to you. Previously, some of you guys know me from a video I did about the black card many years ago that Yusuf El had shared from High Frequency Radio that had went viral. Had over 80,000 views from just one video. I had done several others. Some I had taken down for, you know, specific reasons, by the way. So to get back on topic, by the way, the topic of this video, and if you guys can, don't forget to thumbs up this video, share this video, by the way. It helps me rank higher in the search results. By the way, if you guys can, don't forget to smash the thumbs up button. I'm going over where can I find people who teach or share status correction information on YouTube. Free information, by the way. Free info. So I went over channels such as Jonah Bey, Akeem El, his advocates, Kelby Smith, Yusuf El, High Frequency Radio, Radiant Clone has a YouTube channel, Tex Mason has a YouTube channel. You can look up free information. James C. Lovett has free videos, and I would recommend you guys get a downloader where you can download YouTube videos for free. You have to find the software, by the way, so you can archive the information, and in your free time, read. I recommend do a lot of reading, do a lot of research, study. You can't be a weekend warrior. It's what the military, they used to tell me many years ago when I wanted to go on the Army Reserve or whatever. They would say, oh, you just want to be a weekend warrior. That's what the full-time people would tell me. So I'm going to say, if you want to get good at this information, you want to understand this better, you have to put in work. As they say, nothing in life comes easy. You have to put work into it, unlike some of the elite people, but some still over a course of their lifetime with them learning the information, this is second nature to them. So they're not going to be scared to submit paperwork. They're going to know how. It's going to become second nature because they were taught by their parents. They were sent to private schools or private seminars by invitation only. So to the elites and the class system, to their bloodline or whatever, this is going to be easy to them. It's not going to be difficult for someone like us, by the way. And the reason why I'm not rich or wealthy, you see I'm still on a 9 to 5, because obviously there's obstacles. This information is secret. It's hidden. I didn't learn this till I became an adult, by the way. I didn't have this handed to me on a silver platter. I tried to figure out ways to get assistance. And over the years, if you guys are wondering how this information got better, people shared their experiences. Different study groups came together and shared what worked, what didn't work for them. And procedures were developed by different people throughout the years, by the way. Another awesome free resource you can find online, by the way, look up My Private Audio. Look up myprivateaudio.com. myprivateaudio.com. They have an archive of recordings, templates, resources related to redemption education for free. Look up myprivateaudio.com and look up Angela Stark Talk Shoe. Angela Stark Talk Shoe. Talk Shoe is like a audio web hosting recording website that hosts previous audio recordings. Look up Angela Stark, My Private Audio. You have myprivateaudio.com, but if you look up Angela Stark Talk Shoe, if it's still the case, I looked some years ago. It's been a while because there's so much information throughout the years I've studied. And I got some of this information from a relative that studied, other friends throughout the years, many years ago, that helped me out. I didn't do this by myself, just to give you guys a heads up. So I would recommend, if you guys find like-minded people, brainstorm, form study groups. It's best to find people in your state, like-minded people that can be of assistance. You guys can help each other. That's where brainstorming. You know how the teacher many years ago would have the class break up into different sections. If it was reading literature, if it was doing a research paper on a book, like when I went to Evangel years ago, there was a book by C.S. Lewis. They made a movie out of it called The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. By the way, the teacher broke us up into different groups to brainstorm, to go over, and we would take a test. This would measure our comprehension level. By how well can you comprehend? You know, do you remember well? Do you retain information? By the way, so to get good at this information, you have to brainstorm. By the way, and I loved my teacher back then, Mr. Milioni. He was an excellent teacher. One of my favorite teachers I ever had, all time ever. It's Mr. Milioni. Also in college, one of my favorite teachers was Jim Donovan, who I got a chance to work for, or James Donovan, by the way. He taught business ethics. He was over the management department, who for time at Davenport, when it was Detroit College of Business many years ago, I worked for instructor Donovan, by the way. It's one of my favorite. I admire my educators, my administrators, being an academic, by the way. So going over information, look up, I went over myprivateaudio.com, has an archive of recordings, free recordings, resources, templates. They can link you to other websites. FamGuardian.org has information on the laws pertaining to this information to explain the truth. It's important that accurate facts matter. Accurate details, accurate facts. It's not only facts should matter, but are you getting accurate, credible facts is what matters. So my private audio, this Angela Starks, a lot of times she's the host, will host different genres of people that share or teach coming from different perspectives. This redemption education as information got better throughout the years. That's why I don't disrespect patriot gurus or godfathers of the movement like Winston Shrout, Patrick Devine, Dr. Sam Kennedy. Because if it wasn't for them, before Pastor Tony King came out or others, we wouldn't have known or we wouldn't have been able to have certain procedures or had a better understanding, because these people were willing to give their time to teach. Rod Class, by the way, who else can I name? Judge Bruce Doucette, investigative journalist Barton Butts. Now, despite some of these people went to jail and some of the gatekeepers tried to discredit them for that, but their research they brought forth, they worked as guinea pigs, as researchers. When NASA works on different projects to study other planets, like say exoplanets, and put satellites in space, they have to evaluate different tests, do research. This is what these people acted as. Barton Butts, Dan Benham, Dr. Sam Kennedy, Patrick Devine. This shows I have respect, being humble to respect the original patriot gurus who helped bring this information together. Also, Gene Keating, Rice McLeod, Kevin Hines, by the way, Dr. Phil, not talking about the psychologist Dr. Phil. There was another Dr. Phil who used to do conference calls around the time David Clarence came out. That's another. I think I heard he passed away, sadly, if that is true. Dr. Phil, by the way, he did conference calls on the US DOT. That's like how you would travel dealing with the do not detain list or traveling privately so you're not messed with or harassed by law enforcement if you're having your rights deprived. By the way, he would go over information pertaining to how they have you listed on the commercial side. By the way, dealing with, you have a driver's license. By the way, this is some deep stuff. Trying to think who else, other names out there. Forgive me, there's a plethora of people who came out. Even the guy some of you all know who has the channel named Eon. By the way, spell E as in emergency, capital E, lowercase e, O-N, Eon. He's known as Brett Jones. He had a channel previously called Legal Redress Commission. What I understand, he just recently got back out of jail or prison. Has a channel. He helps people as an activist. Helps, maybe focuses on mortgages a lot. Different things. Sometimes he's done discharge in the past. By the way, he's been a guest on Angela Stark's show some years ago on My Private Audio. You might be able to find the audio on TalkShoe, by the way. Still should be online. Dan Benham, he helped with cracking the code with Barton Butts as an investigative journalist. They helped do impeccable research. Barton Butts also met with one of the former secretaries of treasuries in the United States that admitted at the time, Paul H. O'Neill, and some of the early documents that I read that admitted that discharge was real, that they honored discharges. Let me say that again. Investigative journalist Barton Butts met with, in the research that he did, he stated he met with one of the former secretaries of treasury. And you know how every so many years, similar to how they elect a new president, you have a new appointed secretary of treasury. I think it's based on whoever the president is at the time, by the way, or whoever's serving. You know, they have different offices, just like you've had in the past, Timothy Geithner, Jacob Lew, Hank Paulson, Stephen Mnuchin. I think our current one was a former chairman of the Federal Reserve, Janet Yellen. And you even have so many years different chairmen of the Federal Reserve, like Ben Bernanke. Different names. Sometimes they move different positions. They switch around, you see. So investigative journalists, I give credit to Barton Butts, played a pivotal role in those who brought forth this information, investigating. And it's also important you learn the definitions, the terminology, the legalese. So despite they made mistakes or went to jail, to their credit, they brought forth excellent information and helping us understand this information and what worked and what doesn't work. By the way, through the tests they did, you know, how NASA tests, you know, different types of, you know, technology to bring forth to, you know, just give you guys an example, to put satellites into space, to research exoplanets and things. Similarly, in this type of discipline, these investigative journalists and researchers tested out negotiable instruments and things to see what worked, what didn't work. Did a lot of research. Gene Keating, by the way, is a big researcher. His name was circulating throughout the prison system. They tried to even make it more difficult for prisoners to learn this type of information, because I heard many years ago certain prisoners were freeing themselves. They were putting liens on wardens with UCCs. Now I heard they made it more difficult. And then there's a gatekeeper out there where she's trying to demonize people teaching this information and vilifying them, where she's even, I heard, contacting prisons and stuff to try to make it difficult for prisoners to go to the library and study this type of information to free themselves. Because a lot of stuff, there's slavery going on in a different form. You know, there's people that, you know, made mistakes, by the way, and sometimes the punishments might not fit the crime. But just going over, these researchers and investigators played a pivotal role in assisting with the research throughout the years. That's why I'm going over where can you find people or free resources to teach this information. You have other websites out there too, I can't think of offhand. I've gone over in the past redemption manuals. Some of them you can find PDF files you can look up free through doing a search on Yahoo or Google, by the way. You also have, look up Tammy Peppermint. Her YouTube video, Tammy Peppermint. She did videos discussing this information. She provides a lot of great insight for newbies, by the way. Look up Tammy Peppermint. Oh, by the way, I'm going to jump to the chat section. I see some of you guys have jumped in. G Flores says, you're the man, from Gregory. Appreciate you, Greg, from joining. Hasdrubal Sosa Marquez says, about time you came out the woodworks. Hasdrubal Sosa Marquez said, Eon is the truth. Yes, I agree. Says Anna Von Ritz. Yes, I agree. Says, she says, Gene Keating is the truth too. Yeah, I agree. And Hasdrubal Sosa Marquez says her name is probably Virgo Triad. She's a hater. Yes, you obviously are aware. Yes, and that's why I went over. If you go back and watch the video, and I went over how sometimes these gatekeepers or minions or villains out there don't focus on the regular statutory public sector that has caused tremendous harm to people. By the way, when I went over, remember the data breach of the 3 credit bureaus that made national news, how Wells Fargo had even got fined like $1 billion for opening up accounts in people's names without their awareness, using their social security numbers. And that's harmed people, caused major harm. You guys can look it up. And that wasn't done by sovereign citizens. That this hater, this gatekeeper, always points the finger at, or points the finger at the Moors. This was done by major corporations on the public sector that is supposed to protect people on the public, or you know, provides a service on the statutory side. She won't talk about that, but always points the finger. So it's those sovereign citizens. It's those SCs causing all the trouble. But she doesn't talk about the credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, who caused that data breach of Wells Fargo. Remember they had to pay a fine that made ABC World News Tonight last year, where they said they targeted college students, seniors, elderly people were harmed tremendously from that. Cost billions of dollars, by the way, way more money than so-called what she's pointing the finger at. So you can just think about it. Just think about it. So that's an agenda, and that's a hater right there. And that's you hit it right on point, Hasdrubal. You know what I'm talking about. So if you have common sense, you can see. So that's why I'm going over this information for you guys to evaluate what's a scam, what isn't. Put it out there, you know, free information. I do warn you guys, you know, before you guys give anyone any type of money or donations, research the people, check them out. But you have to make your own assessment, evaluation at the end of the day. That's why I give a disclaimer. Everyone make their own assessment, by the way, at the end of the day. And keep in mind, everyone is responsible for their own affairs. And if you guys are watching this video, I am your host, doing business as the legal name, the N-Lingus, John Dorsey, aka Jay Dorsey at Dorsey's Resource. You can find me on social media, on Facebook at Dorsey's Resource. I'm on Twitter at Dorsey's Resource. I'm also on minds.com. Don't forget to smash the thumbs up. By the way, if you like the content that I put out, support the channel. You can cash at me in the description box with PayPal, friends and family. If you like the work that I do, you know, just putting it out there. So jump to the chat, says, yeah, I chimed in kind of late. I'm a fan of your content. I'm going to watch the replay. Appreciate you. Biker Ryan says, hello, greetings to you. Thank you for joining. Hadrubal Sosa Marquez says, my state is suing a debt collector for revealing info to a third party. Okay, excellent. Yep. And you have another thing. The reason I'm going over these different people that have free information, we all have different talents. Many of us born in this world, we have obviously different personalities. We're born with different temperament levels. If you study psychology, sociology. So many of the people who teach redemption education, some of them have specialties or skill sets in different processes. By the way, some that might resonate with certain people, or some teach classes. Some people have webinars in specific areas, like child support, for example, or status correction, you know, things of that sort, to give you guys a better understanding, to get to a greater level. If you're learning this information, you have to understand, you have to take, there's courses. Like if you remember your college days or high school days, how you had different classes, or within one class, you had different courses to take. If it was driver's education, you were learning to drive. If it was a skilled trade, the teacher might start you off in another area, but you move on to another category. So there's different courses. So suing debt collectors, that's a different course. There's specific webinars or classes on that. Yusuf El with Secure Party Creditor University, why I point to with High Frequency Radio, has had different courses, study courses. Some might be on trust webinars, how to set up a common law express trust. What's the difference between a statutory trust and a common law trust? You might have to take the courses, the study courses, to understand this type of information, because you have a lot of rumors and myths being thrown out there. So I'm acting as your resource to help you all make a good assessment, good evaluation on what is legitimate, what is credible, by the way, in evaluating this type of information. So I went over also other channels. Look up David Merrill. Type in his name to help it come up. Type in Lawful Money, David Merrill. Type in David Young on YouTube. He has a YouTube channel. Look up David Young. Look up Free Inhabitant. It's still come up. He changed, updated the name Free Inhabitant Chancellor Solicitor General. Free Inhabitant Chancellor. I know it's a lot. That's the name of a YouTube channel. And I'll give you guys a hint, by the way, to prove to you. When I had a private consultation recently, I share information, by the way, that sometimes some stuff I'm aware is too public or I think it's too sensitive to go into details about on YouTube, because YouTube is public. I can't control who comes here and watches this channel. That's why I say to warn you guys, sometimes I refrain from holding back certain information, because there are gatekeepers, there are agents, there are haters who will watch this channel, will try to sabotage the information that I'm bringing forth. And sometimes I'm aware they can be even family members of myself. Even when I discuss politics. And the reason I back that certain individual, I won't say the name, or I support him, because overall, he's with the alliance, the good side. And I know this to be a fact. I know there's something I won't talk about that he's working on or has worked with behind the scenes, empowering stuff to bring about freedom. Because some channels I know get into politics, and I know different people have different politics. But the reason I backed a certain individual, without saying the name, and others who supported him, by the way, because I've studied them for a number of years, by the way. This means I've been studying them and I can make a good evaluation. I've been told by people that have even set up private consultations with me that said, even when I was introduced to that group and the TDA movement a couple years ago, they said, Dorsey, they said, you seem like someone that I trust. They told me this privately. They said, you seem like a trustworthy individual. Now, to someone else's personality, I might not come off like that, but I've had a lot of people say that about me. I've noticed that. So I try to keep it real with you guys. I am, it is for what it is. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to put on a front. I'm equipping you guys with powerful, high-powered information to show you guys how I research, because I want to see you guys win. Like the rapper DJ Khaled says, they don't want you to win, but we want to see you guys win. I want you guys to win. I want you guys to have success, because I know if I make it, you guys can make it. And we're in this together. Those of us who are awake to the truth. But remember, there's to let you guys know that there's members of the ruling class, there's cabal people, there are haters. They have minions, gatekeepers, underlinks, agents, paid shills out there who try to sabotage this type of information, because if they can keep you dumbed down, they can keep you dumbified and stupefied, then they can control you better. You see? So that's why it's important for us to form alliances like Voltron, to come together like Transformers, to equip. That's why I'm equipping you guys with the skill set that I have, because we have power in numbers. We outnumber them. Those of us that are awake to the truth, to defeat the New World Order, to defeat the globalists. But it's important and it's critical. That's why I talk about that other information is related to this information. You see, it all goes hand in hand. It's connected. Like when I talk about the banking system, the central bank, the Federal Reserve, who set up the central bank, what bloodline or what family was behind that, why it's important, why they're involved in the occult, Satanism, whether you believe in God or religion or not, doesn't matter. They put off a negative frequency. When I studied under my sensei in martial arts, he studied quantum physics, laser beam technology. He taught me questions, answers about the universe, about religion, high-level information, esoteric information. He said these negative haters and gatekeepers, they put out a negative frequency, negative energy, by the way. But they do this, they're agent provocateurs, thank you, because they don't want us to win. So I'm just warning you guys. That's why, if you guys wonder why I hold information back sometimes, and that's why I say if you want to know more, you have to set up a private consultation with me, and I can go further. If you want to know what I know, I also have a lot of material you might be looking for. I might have it already. I'm willing also to barter with people. Let's say if you got a webinar or something that I might not have, but I might have something that you might not have. We can exchange. If you know how to send big files through Gmail, I can swap with you. That way, we both save on cost. I scratch your back, you scratch my back. Sword sharpens sword. We empower each other. There's a saying, they used to say this when I grew up in the church, that one person could put 1,000 to flight, but 2 or more people can put 10,000 to flight. And we can multiply that. The more of us that are like-minded, that come together, that work with each other, that are genuine, by the way. Yes, I agree. Thank you. So Hadrubal Sosa Marquez says thumbs up. Guest service perimeter says greetings to you. JB says I appreciate you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you for the confirmation, the love, the feedback. It's greatly appreciated. Hadrubal says I agree. Chancellor is in my state. Okay, you're up on it. Great, awesome. Says got to trick the AI algorithm. Appreciate you. Yup, if you guys can, don't forget to smash the thumbs up if you're watching this video, so you can share this with others, so this gets out there. Because the more people you have that are like-minded, that have your back, imagine, what we can do is more people waking up, that are awake to the truth. Many of those that are resisting the vaccine, that know the truth, just found out how recently it causes neurological problems. By the way, so sad. If you can avoid that vaccine, stay away from that. That it causes spongial encephalopathy, spongial encephalopathy, encephalitis, or something like that. You can look it up. Similar to mad cow disease. That vaccine is not good, by the way. And that's why a lot of people, if you look up, have had side effects, like the nurse that came out in Tennessee with her face swole up, where she said she got Bell's palsy from it. Then another nurse that passed out, had adverse reactions, adverse side effects from it. Yup, encephalitis. Yup. It's you have to watch that, by the way. Says Hadrubal says, I'm glad I finally tapped into a live stream. Appreciate you. Says the agent provocateur. Yes, they are agent provocateurs that are out there. That's why I'm warning you of. That's why, so you guys do understand. It's not that I'm trying to be mean or nothing like that when I hold back certain information. When I say it's better if you set up a private consultation with me and I can go more into detail, it's because there are gatekeepers out there. Think about those. It's saying that there's 13, it dropped from 14. Sometimes it's fluctuating between 15 people watching right now. You got to think about who are those other people that are watching me right now that have not easily smashed the thumbs up button. You got to think about that. Might be, I'm just saying, it doesn't hurt, but make sure you support the channel. Smash the like button. It's critical you do that, because YouTube is censoring. Why did they remove the videos of the doctors who came out as whistleblowers to warn you about COVID? But they'll let a Lil Nas X demonic satanic video up. Why is that? And other corrupt videos that promote promiscuity, a deviant behavior, they'll allow that. Why is YouTube doing that? And they're violating freedom of speech, violating antitrust laws. And they were and Twitter was when they censored a post, there was a judge some years ago that ruled when there was a post that Trump had made that they said that was a public utility, that these social media platforms, Facebook, they bought Instagram. That's why another thing with Facebook and these big tech companies, they're buying up smaller companies. So I encourage those who, if you have deep pockets or you're a high roller, purchase companies to create your own servers so you can't be shut down. That's why these big tech companies that are evil, that are satanic, that are pledged to the New World Order are buying up these platforms to suppress the information so they can censor people like this, like the video that the doctors did in other genres. So this is how we all have to fight back. This is important. They're trying to force us to believe, to all think alike. That's communism. That's socialism, which is historically has never worked, has always failed. When you look at previous civilizations, other countries worldwide historically, socialism and communism has always failed. It has never worked. It might go good for a while, but then it always goes bad. It's never worked. It always leads to things bad. Look at North Korea. Like in China, I want to say there was a channel I was looking at, and the brother, he puts out good information called Africa Diaspora. It's supposed to be empowering information for black melanated people. Well, he said the Chinese tried to criticize America for police brutality. Now, we know we do have certain problems with the police, but you know that all police, for example, are not bad. Just like saying somebody stereotyping, saying one race of people is bad. Well, he said the Chinese people, they tried to say, Asian people over in that part of the world tried to tell the United States to do a better job with treating your people, citizens, right. But the media, we know, wants to focus on those bad instances of policing, by the way, where unfortunately has gone, bad in many cases. However, what they're failing to point out is that countries like North Korea with Kim Jong-un, China, Cuba with Fidel Castro, and many others that have fallen under socialism or hardcore communism or statism, that are fascist police states, by the way. Why isn't China telling you they had execution vans where they were pick up people that were practitioners of Falun Gong, which is like a form of Tai Chi or healing. Qigong was like where people would meditate, similar to yoga, but it would go into practices to heal their organs and things. They outlawed this back in the 90s. The Chinese government targeted these specific people, arrested them, put them in prison secretly, until this day still has secret camps, and they harvest their organs. Imagine that, by the way. But a lot of the people in the United States, why are you not hearing that? So that is hypocritical of the Chinese government or Asian Americans. And this is a fact. This is on record. And the videos, before YouTube removed them, a lot of these videos used to be, you might still be able to find some of them, were on YouTube talking about this. This is a fact. They had execution vans that were targeting people that were practitioners of Falun Gong. So the Chinese government has their nerve to be criticized in the U.S. and North Korea when they disappear people and torture people. Like, it's sad what they did to that young man that was out of Cincinnati, who Obama didn't pardon, Otto Warmbier. When Trump got in office, he was sent back over here. He was in a vegetative state. His father said a young man was tortured, sent to a camp just for stealing before he was to leave that country, taking they call it a propaganda poster out of North Korea because he was a Christian missionary. And they tortured this young man, put him in prison, brutally, viciously tortured him, twisted his teeth. His girlfriends, or the women that knew him, when they went on the airplane, they said his body was jerking in a vegetative state, very horrific. They got off the plane with their mouths covered, screaming, crying, horrified. I kid you not, when I saw the story. And did you know former President Obama refused to do anything about it when he was in office, and he was aware of the situation, by the way. That tells you something to think about. Think about it. Brainstorm who the media tells you are the bad guys and good guys. Not saying that Trump is perfect, but however, you have to question the information you're being given from the mainstream media. By the way, use critical thinking. But going back to the Chinese government has their nerve. And then when people, defectors, will have escaped from North Korea over to China for freedom, because you know how we have the people, the migrant crisis coming over here. Did you know when North Koreans escape to either South Korea or go through China sometimes, did you know the Chinese government will send them back to North Korea? And be aware of what they had to go through in servitude and captivity, to show you China's putting on a facade. So Chinese, if General Mao, if he's whoever is what's his name, who's the current prime minister over there, Xi Jinping, I hope he's not saying that. He needs to shut his fat mouth criticizing America. He needs to shut the fuck up and get his own damn country fixed. We know what you're doing over there, torturing those people, and that needs more people. And this is a fact. You can look it up. Don't take my word for what I'm saying. So Phil at the African Diaspora Channel, you need to get your facts straight, because they have an agenda, by the way, that they're pushing all of a sudden. You have to ask the question, why now? By the way, why are they putting black people, melanated people? Yeah, I'm glad to see things are changing for a better, but you have to ask the question, in a sense, why are they pushing certain agendas? Why are they pushing cultural appropriation, critical race theory, and division and race? The globalists, the puppeteers at the top have an agenda, by the way. You have to understand the ruling class elite. You have to understand political science. Look up the World Economic Forum's website. Look up their agenda, by the way. Look up who is the Bilderberg Group, the Davos Group out of Switzerland. Look up who's Klaus Schwab. Look up who is Jean-Claude Juncker. Jean-Claude Juncker. Globalists. Look up the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. Look up the history on these people. And ask the question, do these people have true humanitarian intentions? Do they have good intentions or nefarious intentions? Think about it. Think about it. Do they mean well, by the way? You have to ask that question. If they want to try to portray, let's say, Trump or certain individuals in a negative light because their corporations control and finance the mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, Comcast, which owns NBC, or Disney, or these super conglomerate corporations, you have to ask the question, by the way. Think about it, brainstorm. So let me go to the chat section to read you guys' comments, by the way. Mary Saunders says, good questions. Hasdrubal says, y'all better be cooking and watching if y'all haven't smashed the like button. Appreciate you all. Yup. Guys, smash that thumbs up button. Let's get the likes up. You know, smash the thumbs up. Mary Saunders says, please hit the thumbs up. Thank you. Support the channel. We need Cash App. Dorsey's Resource. Should be in the description box. Please hit the thumbs up. Guest Services Pereira says, oh my God, I feel bad for that young man. He is being used. Yup. That was Otto Warmbier at the time. He was in a vegetative state when he was brought back. He was taken as a captive, as a prisoner. He was an American national over, and he was like a Christian missionary. He went, I think, to a Christian school in Cincinnati, Ohio. His father was interviewed. This was on national news, headlines at the time. Obama, when he was president, refused to help him at the time when he was taken into captivity. When Trump got into office, one of Trump's first order of business was to bring him back. But by then, he was already tortured into a completely a vegetative state. It's very sad what they did to that young man. That was over in North Korea, Kim Jong-un, by the way. And I was mentioning earlier, when the Chinese government was so-called criticizing America, they need to watch it about what they're doing to their citizens. I found out they still allegedly have secret concentration camps over there, by the way, and they torture people. They disappear people. They have this search engine that Google, my friend said, he's a black conservative, by the way. You know, I'm not a registered voter, but I still give my opinion about politics and let you guys know, be aware of what's going on. And he told me recently, he said this made his blood boil when I told him one of the CEOs of Google, their parent company is Alphabet, by the way, their parent corporation. He lied. They have a search engine over in China called the Dragonfly. Now they're trying to implement this over here where it will affect your credit score. It's called your social credit score. Did you know they punish people if you're smoking a cigarette on the subway, for playing video games, for certain behavior that the Chinese government deems as unacceptable? That's why the social media companies like get off Facebook. I have a lot of relatives and families. I boycotted Facebook, by the way. Even though I have a personal account, I don't log in. I haven't logged in a while because of what happened with the so-called riot thing, the election, even though I still do have my channels because a lot of views, but I am on Minds.com. I am on Brighteon with Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. That's another alternative social media site. Band.video is another good one. By the way, I'm also on Rumble. I haven't uploaded any content, but the reason why Facebook and TikTok are data mining your data, and behind the scenes, they're selling your data, and they're also, they say it could be used down the road later to target you not only politically, but to see what your ideology and stuff like that is, and your freedom of speech and things like that is not being protected, which you have a right under the First Amendment, which these big tech companies have been found in violation of antitrust laws. So we do need people out there who are for we the people that have a lot of money, that have deep pockets, that are high rollers, to don't be afraid to sue these people, to stand up against them, get on other social media web hosting platforms, by the way. And I may do a video, another follow-up video down the road to show you guys what other platforms to get on. So these big tech companies don't have all the power and are not able to abuse their power they have, by the way. So I've encouraged you guys to do that. So I'm gonna read the rest of the comments. Mary Saunders says, don't feel sorry for the guy who owns the Facebook. He is rich as he can be. Says he thinks that he is on their level. Says Hadrubal Sosa Marquez says their propaganda is their art of war. Yes, I agree. Mary Saunders says, I agree. The art of war comes in many forms. Guest Service Parameter says it's all smoke. It's all a smoke screen. Hadrubal says in the last days they shall be good and evil and good. Okay, not sure. Okay, I think I see what you mean. The smoke screen is coming off now, says Mary Saunders. Hadrubal, okay, persecuting the Ugar people, tribal folk. Hadrubal, yup, you are aware of that. Mary Saunders says follow the money trail. Hadrubal Sosa Marquez says George Soros. Yes. Open Society Foundation. Look up opensocietyfoundation.com or .org. It will list. I have a friend who has a relative who had an organization who was getting paid by George Soros. So that's a fact, by the way. That's not conspiracy theory. And his son, Alexander Soros, is set to take over. So it's important to identify who those people are, so they can be reported to the authorities. And he's banned in certain countries for humanitarian rights violations and things of that sort. And some of these people are involved in child sex trafficking and stuff like that. So you keep a microscope on these people, watch their agenda. They need to be watched closely. If they're not using their humanitarian, their funds for, humanitarian purposes, if they have nefarious intentions, they need to be stripped of their diplomatic immunity and secret security clearances and tried by military tribunals. They're not working for the people's best interest at heart, by the way. If that is found out, that means they're causing humanitarian harm. And that means we, the people, are going to have to be required to take matters in their own hands, because that's criminal. If they're not following the law, they're doing agendas that's hurting people. That means people are going to be left with no choice. They have to do that. You can't be allowed. These people have to be there. There has to be attention that has to be brought to that. If there's individuals that are causing harm, that have nefarious intentions. That's like what they had to do with when they captured Jeffrey Epstein and his girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's trying to get out, by the way. Look up what happened to those young women. There's women who are whistleblowers. These people should not be allowed to be free and enjoy, a life of luxury and to be able to use their wealth for criminal purposes. That's evil, by the way. Mary Saunders says, look up changes on the horizon to see The Trail of Money when it started. What? Yep, that's a good documentary you can watch for free on YouTube. Says one family continues to come up. Guest services perimeter says also Lil Nas X. Yeah, I mentioned them earlier briefly. Like YouTube will promote that, but will ban videos that are G-rated in comparison to what the video he put out. Remember, they just banned the video by the rapper YG. They said that has something to do with Asian hate or whatever, but they allowed the Lil Nas X video up. That shows YouTube is on the side, what side they're on. So that means more people are not. That means there's not enough people that are suing or bringing criminal charges. We need more lawyers like Linwood and Sidney Powell to stand up to the devil, to the cabal, to these evil people. We need warriors, because there's a saying, when good men do nothing, evil rises. You cannot depend on one person to do it all. You have some people in different genres, but that will show you we need more good lawyers and judges, people that are going to be ethical, that are going to stand up against the bar. That means there's people just collecting a paycheck that are caring not about we the people or upholding the law anymore. You know, we need more Sidney Powells and Lynn Woods. So those, get the message out. We need true warriors to stand up. It's already the new world order. The cabal is here. You know, appreciate the work Mike Lindell and those people are doing. You know, these people must not be allowed to take over, because they're going to implement what they're trying to do with these vaccines that cause spongiencephalopathy, neurological damage to the brain, and other issues. They said similar to mad cow disease. You can look it up. There's doctors that have come out as whistleblowers. Do not get that COVID vaccine. Avoid it at all costs and fight. Sue. Find out if there's a way, even though I heard the vaccine companies are immune. No. There needs to be attention brought. With all these side effects that have been happening to people, then I heard about this video that there's people, diplomats and people are high up that are faking that they didn't receive the real actual shot. Now, can I prove it? But there's people, forensic people, looking into this. That needs to be concerning. Why are they trying to convince everyone else to get the shot if it's supposed to be really good for you? Why do they think about this? Use common sense. Guest service parameter says, okay, jump up. Lil Nas X says, evil video. Hadrubal says, social scorecard. Yep. Hadrubal says, man, I miss Health Ranger. You can find on Brighteon.com. I'm going to type it in for you, Hadrubal. This is website, Brighteon.com. For Mike Adams and the Health Ranger. And there's other channels on there too. It's a web hosting social media site, just like Rumble, BitChute, and others. I'll type some of the others. You can go find them. And they're growing tremendously. This is also to help keep Facebook and Twitter and YouTube from having a monopoly. Also, Gab. You want to support Gab. Gab. I'm going to put support Gab. Andrew Torba. They're using banks, by the way. Support him if you have deep pockets, you know, to support these people financially. I understand some people don't have the money, but if you do, if you get the message out, there might be some high rollers out there that are big baller shot callers that have the deep pockets. Please support these people. Trust me, you do not want to see what the New World Order has in store. Look at what they're doing, how they're banning people. They just banned a rapper, YG. And I'm familiar with YG. He actually helped some local artists in Detroit get put on the map some years ago. He knew Nipsey Hussle, too. He did a video that I liked, by the way. But I'm just saying, they can pick and choose what is hate speech. You know, I get into other stuff, you know, show you have a liberal side. But I'm for we the people. But I'm also for free speech empowering you guys. And I'm going over these other alternate social media sites. I'll probably do a separate video dedicated for this. I'm gonna list some more sites in here, but in case you're watching this video, if you watch the re-upload after I'm done with this video, it should be in the live chat section. If you want to find Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, go to Brighteon.com. You also have BitChute. It's another alternative social media web hosting video platform similar to YouTube. You can there's many channels, many of your favorite YouTubers that were banned or kicked off YouTube have gone to these other platforms. Truther Talk, that's Verstein Henry out of what part of Texas? Austin, Texas. I was on her show one time. Big shout out to the work she did. They even banned her backup channel. YouTube just deleted. She's on, I think, BitChute and some of these other platforms. That's where you can find some of these people. Also, Minds.com. Minds.com, by the way. And .video. Trying to think of some others out there. You have some newer ones that are popping up. Like I heard, well, I don't really know. It's Cloud Hub. I heard, now don't go on Clubhouse, and there was another one. Let me see. I need to find out the name to tell you guys. By the way, don't go on DLive and ClubHub. Don't support DLive and ClubHub. They're censoring, but just like Facebook and Twitter. Clubhouse, by the way, I think it's called Clubhouse. There's another one I think called ClubHub. That might be, what's that guy, Mike Lindell. You want to support? He has a web hosting video platform that I heard that he's just come out with, by the way. Just making sure this is charged up. Don't support DLive, and because they started, one guy said mentioned on BitChute, they started censoring content creators. DLive, and there was a platform called Clubhouse. Clubhouse did something to I think what's that guy's name, Steven Crowder. My friend of mine follows. There's so many people, but they censor Steven Crowder, by the way. Here's some other ones. Create a profile, create a username, password, go create a folder on your computer or email address that you use, or one that's private, by the way, and set up an account with these platforms. Brighteon.com, also Rumble. I forgot about Rumble. Also have Parler. Parler's back, by the way. Trying to think of some others, because there's so many that's popping up. That's why I said I'm gonna do a separate video dedicated to alternate video web hosting or web hosting social media platforms to combat the censorship. And people are moving over. These platforms are growing exponentially. There's some others that are related to cryptocurrencies, like Library and Odyssey. That's some big content creators that had million subscribers, followers, that got kicked off YouTube are doing well on now. So don't think that you can't do well. If you had a big following, especially if you had like several thousand, if you had 30,000, even 50,000 subscribers, start moving your platform, especially if you have at least 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. As a safety, it's important to have a backup. Start moving your subscribers where they can find you, just in case something happens. So just in case something happened to me, even though I might go dark, I'll let you guys know probably, but you guys may be able to find me in case something happened to me over here. Even though I have a backup channel, don't just depend on that. This is the main channel I put out most of my good content, by the way. But these other platforms you want to check out. Oh, MeWe. Lisa Haven is another content creator I follow. She puts out good, excellent reports, independent media, news media, independent news, by the way. Even though she's more right, conservative leaning, but it's very good educational information. And I just want to say, give a disclaimer, just because I listen to these other genres doesn't mean I'm not a registered voter. However, I still follow what mainstream media talks about, and I see a lot of propaganda, so I'm able to take notes, even the local news. So I compare notes, but I'm gonna tell you, these other platforms put out more accurate information that's well balanced. It's still a lot of good people on YouTube that are even, I would say, more right leaning or lean more to the right, that are independent media that put out good video reviews about mainstream topics, by the way, that I'm subscribed to or I follow. But I can evaluate. I can tell you there's a lot of propaganda on CNN, MSNBC. There's an agenda to push race, critical race theory, to push socialism, communism, like some call CNN Communist News Network, by the way. And many of them are also breaking laws that they're not being held accountable for, that they will point the finger at and get other accounts, other independent news sites like Alex Jones and InfoWars shut down, by the way. I'm just typing in the chat. I'm going to type in these other sites, pockets, to support these other independent news, and they have good videos. So I just recently put out Rumble. Get on Parler is back, by the way, and some of the big names are still on Parler, by the way, that still have big followings, from Fox, Hannity, Tucker Carlson, by the way, the comedian Terrence. He was a black conservative. He was also a comedian. He's on Parler. There's others, by the way. It's created a splinter cell where some of your favorite content creators that have left YouTube or were banned or kicked off are not. You can find them on these other web hosting platforms, and some of them you don't have to worry about them being kicked off. They're safe, at least for now. They have their own servers, by the way. When Parler came back, they're safe now. Because remember, Amazon, which was political because they're more hardcore leftists, by the way, and socialists and communists, they when they created that propaganda, they had Parler kicked. That was all political, by the way. But so Parler's back. Go on Rumble, create an account on MeWe. I haven't got on MeWe yet, but I hear they don't sell your data like Facebook because they want to implement that Chinese social credit score system. By the way, go support Alex Jones at Infowars.com. If you have deep pockets, support their store, other independent news outlets. He recently covered the incident with the facility, what's happening with the migrants, because he's based down in Texas. By the way, what's really going on at those facilities, how they're smuggling children. By the way, some are being kidnapped, some are being sex trafficked. And the mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, is not reporting this. Shame on them, by the way. This is what you will get from independent media. Now, even though they will try to these mainstream outlets will try to accuse them of being conspiracy theorists and radical, all this, read between the lines. But that's why I'm saying I'm giving you a multitude so you can make your own assessment and evaluation, just like these people who teach or share status correction, redemption, sovereignty info. Make your own assessment, but you will find the information is better quality. Like I like Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, by the way, Very astute person. He gives practical information, practical knowledge. He's also a prepper. If you're into prepping, there are those that follow Canadian prepper, city prepper, that are into that genre, that discipline. He's into that. He puts out excellent work. He also has a store, similar to Alex Jones, Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. By the way, excellent commentary. By the way, so I trust these people personally. I listen to them when I have the time. That's how I get updated. They put out accurate, good quality information that's not propagandized. That MSNBC and CNN, for example, put out. Some more names I'm going to go over before I shut this video down. This was geared towards where can I find free information on redemption, education was the topic of this video. Where can I find people who teach or share status correction, redemption information? I'm your host, John Dorsey. Don't forget to thumbs up this video if you haven't. Support the channel, Cash App, PayPal. By the way, it goes a big way to supporting the channel. Smash the thumbs up so it will bypass the YouTube algorithms. You know, share this video if you want more people to find out about this, more like-minded people to back you. You'll be able to form groups with. There's also groups, by the way, that are on Facebook. By the way, sovereign groups that teach redemption education. Sometimes if you become members of these different platforms, they have private groups to study and share documents, templates. So I went over James C. Lovett, Don Kalam, Team Aware, Hellraiser. It's another good content creator. Hellraiser, the Hellraiser, Enlightened Luciferian Prince, Eon, Legal Redress Commission. I went over David Merrill. David Young has a YouTube channel. Also, His Advocates is the name of the YouTube channel. That's Kelby Smith at His Advocates. Some of his older videos, puts out work about being an American national, about the passport. James C. Lovett talks about the passport information. Jonah Bay, Akeem L, by the way, Yusuf L, Radiant Clone. This is free information, by the way. I went over my private audio. Angela Stark has a good archive of a lot of free audio recordings that you can listen to. And that's pretty much it, guys. So appreciate you all for joining me. I see someone in the chat says Ako Nukuwu Nukaka. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name correctly. I tell that's an indigenous name. Says I needed this information. Appreciate I was able to I'm able to assist you and help you. Appreciate you all for joining me. Well, that's my time. Mary Saunders says great video as usual. Appreciate you all for the feedback. If you want to follow me, you can find me. Once again, I'm on Minds.com. That's why I also post my videos, by the way. You can go there, create a username, a password. If you don't have an account, that's Minds.com. Minds.com. And I'm going to put, this is where I repost my videos to find Dorsey's resource. Other than Facebook. I'm also on Rumble, by the way. But in case you guys are wondering, to find me on Minds.com. If I've uploaded a YouTube video, in case you guys missed it, if you go there, set up an account, and you guys say, hey, you don't like what Facebook and Twitter or YouTube is doing with all the censorship, or you want to see my reposts, because some of these other platforms don't have live yet. That's one feature I do like about YouTube. They do have live. I repost my stuff over there. So go on Minds.com. I repost the links generally after this video is uploaded. When I get back off work, generally, or sometimes through my phone, I'll share the link on these other sites. You can find me. So down the road, I have a backup. You guys will still be able to find me if something happened. Say if YouTube want to just decide all of a sudden to just shut down my channel, say, oh, we don't like what you're talking about, or we want to punish him, make him an example, like they've done others and violated their freedom of speech. By the way, I mentioned Clubhouse earlier. They're censoring, by the way. That's why I don't recommend Clubhouse. I think I've heard one called Clout Hub. That's maybe Mike Lindell's social media site he started. I don't know about the one that Trump was supposed to start, what that's gonna be like, but there's others. I went over Rumble, Parler, MeWe. Alex Jones is at Band.video. David Icke is over there, by the way. You remember David Icke sells out stadiums and crowds. He's spoken. They tried to ban him from coming to other countries to speak, like Australia. He has a channel on Band.video, by the way. Some of you guys that have his books are familiar with his work. And that information is related to this information with redemption stuff, too. They talk about the banking cartel, the New World Order, and it's the reason why. We need more awake people. Brighteon.com is where the Health Ranger is at. So with that being said, guys, that's my time. I appreciate you all once again. Wakanda forever, appreciate the love. I'll leave you guys with these cliches. Stay woke. Real legends never die. They live in our hearts forever. Blessings, shalom, love and light. Until next time, deuces. Take care.